Welcome everyone. I'm here with Max Moore, the CEO of Alcor, on the verge of the Alcor 40 conference this October in 2012. And you've been on the job how long now?
Just under 2 years.
Just under 2 years.
Well, I've been a member for 26 plus
time.
years.
Yeah, that's right. If you could sum up what the job has been like in just a short phrase that would encapsulate what it's been like for those first 2 years, what would you say?
Oh, a short phrase. Okay, challenging and exciting. It's actually a very complex job for a small organization, given that we have 9 staff. You might say, what's the big deal? Yeah. But of course, we're responsible for 112 patients, keeping them cryopreserved indefinitely. Not for the next 6 months or the next 5 years, but indefinitely. And our organization has been around for 40 years, so I feel a very heavy duty and responsibility to make sure that we plan very long term. So unlike many organizations where you can make very short-term plans, we have to think very long-term while keeping things operational in the short term as well.
Let's start out with the challenging aspects of being the CEO of Alcor. I know I've talked to a lot of different folks who have been around Alcor, and cryonicists are very individualistic, a lot of people would say, have strong wills and kind of libertarian leaning. And how has it been integrating yourself with the culture of Alcor?
Well, one thing I've been very fortunate is that I have an excellent staff. We really have some very highly skilled and dedicated people. We have a very active board of directors. Some members like to complain about the board or the staff because things aren't done the way they want, and maybe sometimes they're right, but we really have a very strong skill set. So I don't feel like I'm landing in a job on my own. It was a bit of a quick transition, but on the other hand, I get a lot of help from the staff, a lot of expertise from our directors who've been involved for many years too. And they're very skilled too, so I can always call on people and get advice if I need it. So one of the big challenges really is figuring out, first of all, what are the big priorities, what are the big things that need to be taken care of to make sure we don't have a major problem. How can we grow? It's become very difficult because dues are more expensive than I would like right now. How can we make sure we protect our members in the long term? And how can we improve our cryopreservations?
And then let's move on to the exciting parts of the job. In your 2 years, what has been the most exciting development, or maybe a couple of exciting developments that you've seen at Alcor?
I think just compared to when I first got involved with cryonics, looking at it now, what I'm seeing is a lot more public acceptance. Certainly it's not publicly accepted on the level of common fad, but for instance, when we go into hospitals these days, as compared to 15, 20 years ago, usually, not every time, but usually we get a lot of cooperation. In fact, the hospital staff are often eager and excited and say, what can we do to help? Can we observe this? And they're asking a lot of questions.
What would you attribute that to, mainly? Is it that society is becoming more technologically advanced? Is it a generational turnover? Younger generations view technology more, atheistically or agnostically. What would you attribute that to?
I think there's a number of factors all coming together to explain that. One is probably just increased awareness of it publicly, largely through fiction, frankly. There's a lot of movies, huge numbers of movies have cryonics in it. But the good thing about it, even though usually they're not particularly positive scenarios, the good thing is it works in the movies. It always works, practically. So that's one factor. I think another is that we have more and more presented cryonics more accurately as an extension of conventional emergency medicine. This is not some strange spooky thing we're doing. We are just extending emergency medicine. We're just stepping in at the point at which today's doctors are saying, there's nothing more I can do for this person. And rather than ending treatment there, we're saying, well, we can stop them getting worse and then give them a chance in the future. And by framing it that way, I think people, especially in hospitals and medical professionals, can understand it.
And that's very exciting, of course, that there's more acceptance, especially when you're going out to cryopreserve a patient. What about excitement for the future? What do you see in the next couple of years that is driving your excitement for cryonics?
I think one of the really exciting areas in medicine, which should help us, because it will help fill the gap of, well, how do we get from a cryopreserved individual to a functioning person in the future? One very exciting area is regenerative medicine. We're seeing more and more reports of tissues being engineered, organs, the beginnings of organs being regenerated. I think there was an embryonic mouse kidney, I think it was, just from stem cells was being created. That's pretty amazing. And then I was reading about this guy using a 3D printer to produce prosthetics, parts for prosthetics. Sure. So, people have this idea, especially for neuro patients, how are they going to come back? People now start to understand things like cloning and regenerative medicine, that the body is not fixed, that we can bring it back to life, we can grow new parts and so on. That fills that credibility gap so people can understand how our patients will return one day.
All right, well, thank you very much for all the information, Max, and good luck in your continued role in the future with Alcor.
Thank you.